Mr. Rohit Sadafar. He is working with Aurangabad Electrical Limited, CIE Automotive Company, as a project management specialist for digital transformation, innovation and sustainability with ED Office. While pursuing his master's in sustainable urban development, he worked on evolving ESG models in India. He co-founded a recycling startup with support from the Energy Resources Institute, New Delhi. He also commissioned India's first captive floral recycling plant at Shirdi Temple. He worked on EPC projects from solid waste management of industrial and agro produce for municipal and urban engineering projects. Mr. Rohit will deliberate upon traceability challenges and solutions for automotive industries. So delegates, let's welcome Mr. Rohit.
Just to add more to your introduction, so at Aurangabad Electricals Limited, which is a Mahindra CI group company, so I take care of program management towards digital transformation and sustainability. So when I say digital transformation and sustainability, sometimes they are linked differently, but for us it's one and the same thing. Or if you have to transform something, like whether you say it is a digital transformation or a technical transformation, you have to ensure that it is in tandem with the sustainability aspects of the company. So thank you organizers for this webinar. It has been a great pleasure like us being associated with you for multiple knowledge exchanging sessions along with you. We all know that we went through a radical change during the pandemic times, and like that really challenged our skill set towards agility and adaptability in the pandemic times. So those organizations which were ready with the Industry 4.0 ecosystem and digital transformation ecosystems, they all managed and could leverage on this age and could perform better with respect to their peers and also with respect to market requirements. So when we talk about traceability, trace and ability, you have to decode this term. So traceability means like trace and ability. Though these definitions can be different for different industries like pharma, agri, goods, electronic components, and other, like even real estate and pharmaceuticals as well. So when we talk, I'd like to build upon the case shared by MSR Advantage, Mr. Balaji. So like he spoke mostly about the how is the solutions are transforming the industry and how better they can help us. So when we talk about digitization, and digital transformation, these three are different terms. So like I would again like to decode these three terms for you. When we talk about digitization, so that means like we are converting the devices from analog to digital. So that's what an era was earlier. Then we moved to digitalization, where our mail exchanging and instant messaging came into place. So digitalization over information. Now is the world which is demanding digital transformation. So what digital transformation means is like creation. The data, when it is being exchanged, it should be more relevant and be able to convert into a creation. So that's how digital transformation comes into place. One of the greatest example is having a digital twin, which also acts as a digital assets for most of the companies. Not just limited to software industry, now it has been extended to manufacturing, agri, and multiple sectors. When we talk about traceability, this is not like a jargon or something, but we all know in India that Mumbai Dabbawalas were the first to introduce the traceability through their customized solutions in Mumbai. So, and they were doing it very perfectly. We all know the case studies about Mumbai Dabbawalas. Now, next is like customer demands in today's world, like they demand traceability. For most of the marketplace apps, like we see in retail areas, so they demand traceability. So traceability has been an edge for most of these startup companies, or we can say for most of the startup unicorns. This has been a real edge. Like if their customers or users are able to experience how their product is being handled, and if they are able to see at real time the traceability, so that exactly has been a greater edge for most of this startup success. And later on, the talk of the town, if we talk about the vaccines, like vaccines traceability, the beneficiaries, and the availability, has been one of the common terms when we talk about traceability. Now, coming down to our sector, that's automotive. So we belong to auto component manufacturing, and we do supply to most of the tier 1 OEMs in India as well as in global. So I would like to share a few of the challenges that automotive companies are facing, and probably during discussion, Mr. Balaji and Mr. Prasad, you can throw light over this if you have solutions. So the first challenge that an automotive industry faces is about the customer acceptance of the product. Like first things, at times we see a large volume of vehicles being recalled to address certain specifications. So we have seen the world has gone through these things, that a lot of vehicles were being recalled. So at such times, we need to have a clear traceability of the product that we are manufacturing. Right from like in life cycle assessment, we have a cradle to approach. So likewise, we should have a traceability from raw material sourcing to the final dispatch of the product. So to have this traceability, the next challenge that we face is like vulnerability in several processes, because our processes, when we talk about automotive, they are rugged enough. So we need to have some trace marks which are rugged enough to trace in everything, like traceability from solid raw material to liquid raw material, from liquid raw material to the high pressure die casting, and then further in the machining, heat treatment, and other processes. So this has been a primary challenge for auto component manufacturing industries, like to implement a traceability in its own. In discrete patterns, it has been implemented for different solutions, but as a complete, like what we say as life cycle, from cradle to grave, that's from raw material to dispatch, it still remains a challenge for an industry. The next big challenges for auto component industry that we see is like the foray into e-vehicles. When we say e-vehicles, the moment we can link it to the digitalization, because the moment you say we are available with the e-vehicles, so e-vehicles will not be just e-vehicles. They will be connected vehicles which will be having a lot of data inside them. There will be a company which will be mapping all of your data, like how the performance of engineering going, everything is going, and there will be a lot of analytics. So that means if something goes as a failure towards engine performance or something, in such cases we need to have real-time traceability of the products which are going in the making of this vehicle. So also on other front, this data will also help us with, will be able to correlate with the traceability, and will also help us with the continual improvement of this entire vehicle. So now traceability in a different way can also be linked to perpetual learning and improvisation on different designs, processes, and products. So traceability will help you in gathering the big data and correlating this big data with the product you're going to manufacture. So that is one of the things. Importantly, material traceability is becoming more relevant because we are living in a finite world. So the materials are quite finite, and most of the times we use recycled materials. So the big challenge with the recycled materials is like there is it is very diverse and it has a lot of variance into it. So when we say variance, so a different quality of materials are available. So for a raw material, if you have 3 or 4 grades, so when we switch to recycled materials, we could have 100 plus grades of things. So when we deal with such big data and things, and with a common manufacturing practice, so we need to have a traceability of what and from where it came into the things. Next things, biggest thing is like we are dealing with the global markets. So something is being produced in India, it is being assembled in Germany and being sold in USA. So we are living in a very global supply chain. If something goes wrong in USA, so we have to trace back it to the manufacturing, and we have to trace back to raw material. So at real time, we should have this entire traceability so that not all of the vehicles are being called out, but specific vehicles are being called out. One of the prime areas for any company in today's world is like mapping the efficiency and productivity of all of their efforts, not just the humans, but also the machines, the processes and designs. So asset tracking has been one of the things. So most of the Indian startups are doing with this asset tracking, and now in a very lean way, and with the help of lift robbing, they are able to put some barcodes and look at stickers on the, and even GPS tags on the assets, and they are able to trace where exactly the tool, tackle, and a big asset is. So that challenge has been overcome by most of the industries. Even in our industry, we have implemented it successfully. So we are able to tag all of our assets, and at the real time, we can reconcile all of these things. Like we talked about the machines and tools and tackles. Importantly, visitors visiting the campuses are also important for any manufacturing industry. So we have implemented a visitor management system. So that's a real case study over here. So wherein we are trying to trace the peoples which are working in our company and where they are visiting. So done it much simpler that we have just put up we can just put up a GPS tag over their cards and then see what is their movement and where they visited, how they visited, what is the pattern and everything. So similar way we are also tracking our assets. It is not a new thing. That concept came like 2 decades back. But similar thing we have done a horizontal deployment to human aspect as well. Talking about the solution side, from not just the challenges from the automotive side, like component manufacturing. So in a auto component manufacturing industry, or for that matter, in any of the industry. So today we are living in a smart and connected manufacturing. So at times, to be more efficient, to be productive, you have to do the manufacturing in discrete setup with your ecosystem partners. You do discrete setups because you have to improve on efficient practice and innovation, and you want to leverage on your core aspects of core skills and core values. So you go into discrete setup. So, but when you go into discrete setup, different ecosystem partners are like manufacturing a single product with different outputs. So then traceability is important, because at the end of the day, we need to know what went wrong with the exact process on which product. So that's more important. Next thing I would like to quote over here is like traceability at times is like not a big thing like nowadays. Like only thing is we need to secure it properly. So Mr. Balaji explained about the blockchain, which is an upcoming area, AI and blockchain implementation. So one can also look at the inventory mapping at real time with the help of AI implementation and blockchain implementation. And then accordingly can manufacture their products so that they are not carrying a lot of inventory along with them and they are getting good returns out of it. The next is the RFID and GPS tags. Most industries need to scale up the implementation RFID, GPS and QR code implementations. I can tell you an example, like 10 years back, what we implemented in construction industry was like, at that point of time, it was like difficult for everyone to carry the maps, plans, and details about the quality test for each of the floor in high-rise building. So what we did is like we put everything into a single cloud storage device, and then from that device there was a QR code which was generated, which was pasted on each of the floor. So whenever the technical person or like even our structural engineer, they were visiting, so they used to just simply scan these things. This was 10 years back. They used to get this data. As simple as that thing, the traceability can be done, and as complex as we can make it with the blockchain. But it's not. It is complex on the part of a designer, but on a part of user, it's much simpler because it gives you the right data at right time, which is encrypted. So vision cameras are also playing a lot in this case. So vision cameras are able to trace not just. We used to see that earlier. We used to have static cameras which were like being utilized to identify the quality defects. Now there are AI vision-enabled cameras. We are tracing everything. So now from the defects to everything, they are able to correlate with the processes and the design as well. So as we move forward with this conversation, I would like to hear more from Prasad on this use cases, what they have implemented. And I'll look forward to the panel discussions where we explore more towards the challenges that I shared and which can benefit our ecosystem at large. Thank you.